Welcome back to Big Boss Mare with Brandy Von Holton. Today, I have someone by the name of Scott Sims. All right, so Scott has known me since, maybe 2013, 2014, around that time. Whenever I had first started obstacle competition, I started with an association called the Ultimate Horseman's Challenge Association, which is UHCA. It's not primarily, it is in Kansas and in Missouri.
Yes.
And then I went to the EXCA, the Extreme Cowboy Association. Now then, Scott and I have, since then, we've done some American Stock Horse Association things here. We had a training that had put on by the president of that association. And now Scott is judging CT2V, which is Country Tough Trail Versatility. So Scott and I don't even know what town you live in. What town do you live in?
Butler, Missouri.
Butler, Missouri. Okay. And so Scott has done all sorts of things, and I thought I would bring him on here just to give you insight to all sorts of different obstacle, ranch horse, cattle farming, judging, all sorts of insight that Scott has. Okay, so Scott, go ahead and tell them a little bit about you.
Again, I live in Butler, Missouri. I work for a company called North American Underwriters. We travel from one end of the country to the other, dealing with large losses for mostly the Hartford, but sometimes shelter, sometimes farmers insurance, dealing with losses from floods, tornadoes, hurricanes, things like that. I've been in New York City for 5 weeks after Hurricane Sandy, been in California. Love my job. My boss used to be in Holden, Missouri. They've since moved to Florida, but we travel anywhere in the United States dealing with large losses for the insurance companies.
Okay, and how long have you done that?
Since 2008.
Okay, what did you do before that? What made you get into insurance?
I was getting a little older.
Okay.
I raised cattle and I took care of cattle for other people, and eventually age starts to catch up with you. And this is a job, I like people, I like travel. This involves both. It gives me a chance to help people that have gone through some really hard times. One that comes to mind after the tornado hit in Tuscaloosa, Alabama, you met folks that had no insurance, and people that everything they had was gone. And I went to a claim in Moore, Oklahoma after the tornado hit there. I pulled up, there was a slab of concrete. I thought, I'm in the wrong place. The gentleman that was there seemed out of sorts, kind of hard to get along with, and his wife came up to me and said, please bear with him. This was our business. This was our life. 2 months ago, our son died. 3 months ago, my husband was diagnosed with cancer. So we may think we're having problems. You never know what the other person's going through. And I've met some people that are really devastated by some of these losses, and people that bounce back and are very resilient and come back and are determined to be successful again.
Okay, man, I will tell you, with doing this podcast and with our facility, I've met people with stories that would bring a tear to a glass eye, is what my father would say. It'd bring a tear to a glass eye. But boy, out of those hard stories, you can usually find inspiration for the people that dig in and come back from them.
You sure can. It's amazing as you travel and you deal with people and there are different losses, whether it be flood, wind, whatever it happens to be. Again, Brandy, to reiterate what you said, some people bounce back and come back stronger. Some people it gets to be a load for, and they have a little trouble dealing with it. Maybe they have to dig a little deeper to find their faith and maybe rely on others, lean on some friends and family to come back and get through some of these things.
All right. So, Scott, you said that you're getting a little bit older. I asked you what model you were, and you said, I'm a 1952.
I'm 69, and, I used to think 70 was a number that I'd never see, and now next June I'll be 70. So it changes a few of the things. When I was younger, when I team roped, we were always happy to be in the 5s and 6s. Now I'm happy to be in the 7s and 8s. So you slow down a little bit. And to think that at 69, I'm as fast as the kids that you go compete against, it's not quite that way. I always like to think that maybe riding better horses or better broke horses and your practice and your repetition can keep you on on the same level, the playing field, I guess is what I want to say. And so far it's done that. I enjoy still showing horses. I judge horses a lot, 3 or 4 different associations, and a few that are open shows. We judge cattle, judge sheep, judge, again, open show horses and the association horses. Been blessed that I seem to be in high demand and judge quite a bit. And I also coach the 4-H livestock judging team at home and the horse judging team for Bates County, and that's been a blessing. I have a great set of kids that I coach with wonderful farm families. They're not afraid to work and put the effort in to be successful. And maybe that's, I lay out that on the farm family part, and maybe that's where it comes from. You don't get many city kids doing this as a rule because they have no background or experience with livestock. And the children that make better judges, per se, are people that have grown up around livestock, and they tend to have an idea what a good one is or what a poor one is. I think the biggest thing that we teach in coaching judging teams is we teach children how to communicate. Part of our contest is what they call oral reasons, and a child has 2 minutes on certain classes to tell you why they placed them that way and defend their decisions. And the ability to communicate as they go forward in life, I think, is the biggest thing that we offer them. And I have some children that have been extremely successful. I have one of the young men that was a state champion for me years ago is a very successful lawyer in Kansas City. I've got a son that teaches ag in a huge program in Austin, Texas. Again, just a blessing, and the ability to communicate, it never goes out of style. If you're applying for a job, whatever you do, we think it's important, and people maybe get tired of people always wanting to win, but I tell my kids on my judging team, you'll never go for a job interview when they want to hire the second or third best person. They want to hire the best person that they can hire.
Yep.
Strive to be that way.
Mm-hmm. Well, and you had just said something a while ago about sometimes city kids don't have the opportunity to be around some of these livestock. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about I have these horse day camps, okay? And I had someone negatively comment on one that was on like a Facebook ad, and it's like, I keep the kids from 9 to 4. Okay, let me tell you what all we do. From 9 to 4, and we always do a service project. We do some kind of farm chore. And do you know, the kids are actually excited to be able to help and maybe like, oh, that looks great. Or let me show you how to, like manure, forking manure, or moving a wheelbarrow, or raking. And they want to do a good job winding up water hoses. I mean, we have just latching fences and gates and little chains. A lot of times they don't know how to do it, but as soon as I show them how to do it, then they want to show the next kid. So we always do a service project. It's usually about 45 minutes long. Then we groom the horses. I teach them how to do something like either pick up a hoof or braid hair or do a rope halter. We talk about how to lead them. And then we always ride the horses and the mules. And then it's usually lunchtime or around that. And we'll do some kind of, I've brought in a line dance instructor. We've painted before. We've done martial arts. We've shot some pellet rifles. We've done archery. We always do some kind of craft or learn a skill, or we exercise or work out or something, okay? Then we go play in the creek, and those kids talk about so much fun catching look how many snails I caught. And I'm like, bleh. Or look at this tadpole, look at this crawdad. And then by then, after we play in the creek for a while, then we will come back up. I'll usually read something to them, and then we eat ice cream on the porch, and then it's time to go home. That is a 9 to 4. I had one lady that was just like, they get to ride horses just for a couple of hours and fork manure, and they're like, $50. What? And I'm like, oh my gosh, you don't understand what what I'm providing for them. And then one lady was like, you should just do this for free. They're just getting to ride horses. And I'm like, I just gave up a seventh of a week. You know how much time? I mean, a day.
And what that's worth to you.
Yeah,
Yes.
I mean, for sure. But then other people, okay, so that's just the 2 comments that have ever come bad. The rest of them are like, please do more of these. Please do more of these. And I have so many city kids that love my mule, JoJo. And they love everything. And they pick stuff up so fast when given the opportunity to be around these animals, these horses and these mules, and they love their quirky personalities. Man, the kids just need to have that opportunity.
Given the chance to be exposed to things. Two of the things that I grew up doing that I have a hard time finding help for anymore is there's nobody that knows how to milk a cow. There's nobody that knows how to stack hay. They didn't grow up doing it. And both of them are important in my world. Once in a while, a cow may have issues or problems with the calf. I may need to milk some colostrum out and put some in the freezer so I have it, or a cow may get mastitis, heaven forbid, but you need to milk them out. Some kids don't know how to work an udder, grab a teat, and milk them out. They don't know how to stack hay, and if you don't stack hay right, it doesn't stay, it doesn't ride a rack, doesn't ride in the pickup. Lost art anymore. And,
right.
But it's like you said, if you take a child that wants to learn, that has any kind of a positive attitude, they'll grasp that and appreciate it.
So I don't know if you follow us on social media very much, but we've got old Peppercorn, my husband's leopard Appaloosa, and that horse has milk. Oh my gosh. Do you know how many? She's probably up to about 300 kids that have milked her. Okay. And she's A-okay with it. She doesn't care. That's just who she is. But anyways, they think that's so much fun. And just to know there's two underneath there. There's two teats underneath there, and they're just like, whoa. And then, do you know how much fun it is? Like, right beside Peppercorn is maybe, 14.2, 14.3. She might be 15 hands, I don't know. With her little long sway back, I don't know. But then right beside her, I've got my mule that's 16.1, and then she has the smallest little bitty teats, and they're just like, they have to come and show me, Coco's are smaller, and she's bigger. And I'm like, yeah, that happens. But, just that exploratoriness of them is innocent, and they're learning, and it's just what a wonderful experience, And
if they hadn't come out to see it, they'd go through life and never know what that is or understand the differences.
Oh, yeah.
It's just give them the opportunity to learn.
Yeah. So Scott does all sorts of things. So he is also a cattle farmer, and you have a Simmental?
Yes, but we raise mostly black-faced Simmentals. We have a few commercial cows also. And from the team roping world, I also keep a few Corianti cows around to raise some roping calves.
So what made you choose, or did they choose you? What made you choose that specific breed, the Simmentals?
I started out in life with polled Herefords, grew up in the polled Hereford world in Illinois, worked for some people that had world-class polled Herefords. We traveled all over the United States showing. My dad had worked for them when he got out of college, and I worked for them through high school. Thought they were it. Moved around a little bit, started working with some black cattle, Angus cattle, enjoyed them, saw what I thought was maybe some of the advantages for me. Everybody likes black cattle. We talk about certified Angus beef and the black effect, the black-hided effect on cattle. There's me, even with the Angus, there's a few things I'd like to change. Stumbled on some black-faced Simmentals, maybe for what I like, a little more bone, a little heavier structure. I thought the cows, as a rule, milked a little better, and that's why I gravitated towards them. I like even my first calf heifers. I think they have great udders. They're excellent mothers. I think they're thrifty, hardy. They do well. And when you raise livestock, it doesn't make any difference what kind, if it's dogs or sheep or cattle or horses or even people. Think about this. You're a good cowboy if you've got good mothers. A great cow or a great mare or a great dog or a great woman raises great babies. And those of us men that struggle around the world, we'd be nowhere without good ones. And I put a high emphasis on good mothers, two-legged or four.
Okay. Hey there, shout out to all the ladies.
You bet.
Let's talk about your lady for a little bit. Her name is Sherry.
Sherry is my wife. We've been married 20 years, second marriage for both of us. Sherry has two girls that are both adults, and they've blessed us with 7 grandchildren. I've got a boy that lives in Austin, Texas, and teaches ag down there in a big program in Austin. Sherry runs a daycare in Butler, Missouri. She has 32 kids at the daycare, which keeps her hopping, and I guarantee she can come home pretty tired at night. She's blessed right now. She has a great staff helping her. In Butler, 2 things that are always full are daycares and rental units. The daycares are busy because a lot of young mothers have to go back to work, so there's two incomes for the houses, and everybody needs a storage unit. So
Right. Okay. My husband's always thought, how could a storage unit make money? He's always just never believed in it. And I'm like, man, you got to be wrong. Now David's 47. He's like, I am so wrong on the storage units because they're everywhere.
Everywhere and full.
Yeah, and full. I mean, I've had to use them a couple of times, like, college would be over and move into an apartment, but like had a little, just a hiccup in timing and had to use them before. But he was all like, who would need a storage building? And I was elected to the health board. Heck, the health department's got storage buildings because they've got large items and they've got files that needed to just have an area for them. Like a lot of just never realized how much storage people needed.
I have several friends in Butler that have storage units. One man that has quite a few. Every unit he's got's full. There's never, you get in line to get to do it. It's amazing probably the amount of money, not just the money he makes, but the service he offers. Because, I know when my mom and dad moved, I needed to store some furniture for them for just, call Richard, put it in there, and took care of it for 6 months,
Yep.
And don't have to worry about it.
We've started with our RV campsites over winter. We have started storing a few people's RVs. We charge them $100 a month, and then they're able to keep the setting at a certain temperature so it doesn't freeze in there. But we're not trying to heat it. We're just trying not to burst anything.
Not burst any pipes.
And then it's not covered, and we've had several people take us up on that. We never thought about that when we opened up
this facility.
Yeah, we never thought about winter storage because we're like, well, it's not covered, but then at least it's plugged in. So you also, in addition to working in insurance and being a cattle farmer, but you also raise quarter horses.
We've been blessed over the years to raise some pretty nice horses. I had a friend that lived at Rich Hill, Missouri. Gary Jennings got us started. Gary used to run 100 mares. He and I got to be friends. I bought some mares from him. We've had a stallion or two over the years. It's getting to the point where, for us, at my age, we'll taper off on the raising. It's almost easier for me to go buy a colt that I know the pedigree, the sex, and the color. It's everything I want. So we're probably going to taper off on that. And at 69, I probably won't ride a lot more colts. I've been pretty lucky. I had open heart surgery 6 years ago, and recovery from that went great. I've replaced my left knee. I had surgery on my left foot, and I tore my rotator cuff on the left side last year. Probably going to put a new knee in on the right side maybe this fall. Hopefully everything holds up then until I'm done. But as you get older and your body starts to fail you, you do some things a little easier. I don't need to break many colts anymore. And haven't had a lot of wrecks, but you get to the point at my age, you don't need any wrecks anymore.
Right, no wrecks. Yeah, I know the statistics on breaking a hip over the age of 70, that's some not good statistics.
Both my grandmothers, when they broke their hips, they went to the nursing home. Neither one ever came home.
Right.
It just doesn't bode well. Both of them then, I felt like that was the onset of their dementia and Alzheimer's. But again, once they broke that hip, they never came home.
My clients this is going to sound goofy to say, but my clients are getting older, but everybody's getting older.
Yes.
But man, I have got so many 70-year-olds that are riding, and I've got 80-year-olds that are riding. And it's just because they're being smarter and, they're being more cautious, making better decisions. And what they love about coming here is that with David and I living here, then they always know we're going to make sure and see them.
Somebody's going to be here.
Yeah, or they can tell us, hey, I'm by myself, and we'll make sure that we see them at night, So
yes.
We have so many clients in their 70s, and I always joke with them. I'm like, well, how the heck did that happen? And they're like, I don't know. Just woke up when I was 70.
Both in this association that I just judged for you here today, there was a lady that I met at 70, Susan, that's rides a really nice horse. In almost every association that I deal with, I've got friends that are in their late 60s or early 70s that are still very active and very successful competitors. But again, I think they're taking better care of themselves as they age. Maybe we do some exercises, maybe some yoga, but we try and be careful about what we do. And I think we're all riding better broke horses, right, so that we're not, there are lines that are a little more bronky than others, but we try and ride good, quiet horses and not have those wrecks anymore.
Well, and how much has the availability of clinics helped out with that, and the availability of people understanding horses now. Like I have, I've gotten the opportunity to, like next weekend, I have mounted police training here.
I saw that.
And boy, that's a lot to throw at a horse, but they do it gradually. I'm going to ride my goofy mule, JoJo, in it and get him ready for some more parades and stuff. But I've trained with Lee Hart, and then I've got to train with John and Michael Lyons that came here before, and didn't get to train with him, but I got to watch a presentation from Guy McLean, and man, just there's so much good knowledge out there. And speaking of that good knowledge, you're also a roping clinician. And do you know how hard it is to find a roping clinician?
Yeah. One of the things that we specialize in our roping clinicians is beginning ropers. A lot of people want to get on that horse and go chase that steer, and they've had no experience handling a rope or dealing with a horse that's handled a rope, and then they go rope a steer that maybe doesn't want you to catch him. But we start out with the very basics. We teach people how to coil and uncoil their rope. We teach them how to build a loop, how to swing that loop, bring it up and swing it correctly, and deliver it. I've been blessed, I guess, with the ability to watch people and make corrections to whatever they're fighting, whether it's getting their elbow up, rotating their wrist more, whatever they need to be more successful. And I've been blessed to do that for, I guess, almost 20 years now. Enjoy working with people and getting them started, laying a good foundation. I think it's like anything we do. If we lay the foundation right, it gets better for us as we go forward. The church that I go to in Nevada, Riverside Cowboy Church, puts on a rodeo Bible camp every summer. We have 80 kids. The ground roping is one of the bigger segments there that we get kids started. I've had some children come through there that are never picked up a rope before, and by the time they get done, maybe spend a year or two with us, they become roping demons. They love it and they enjoy doing it, and we enjoy having them. And it's a niche for me to keep meeting new people and maybe help people advance a basic part of their horsemanship. Okay,
so do you know I have big dreams of being more punchy's probably not the right word, just more authentic, and I want to learn how to be a better roper. I mean, I can do some very, very basic stuff, but I will tell you, so many ropers are missing fingers, and I am so scared of getting a finger caught in around a horn and losing a finger or something. I have a little bit of fear towards that. What do you think causes those fingers to get, squeezed off?
I think in anything we do in life, especially when we're competitive, whether it's showing horses here, competing as an athlete, team roping, I think that sometimes our adrenaline, our anxiety maybe gets the better of us. Jake Barnes lost a thumb at the national finals, and Jake Barnes has roped more cattle than I'll ever see, 7-time world champion, but still lost a thumb. And a half a second lapse in your attention span could cost you something like that. And he's a man that shouldn't happen to, but it did. Right. And we try and teach everything slow. Kids learn to need to dally to handle the rope. And one of the things I fuss about a lot is teaching them how to handle a rope and do it correctly. And then when we teach them to dally, it's a slow motion. We keep, you have to keep that thumb up, and then we have somebody run with the rope so that they've got some pressure on the rope. You don't just go to a steer, but you let a child or another person run with that rope out there so they have the pressure on the rope. We dally slow, and if you have a rubber wrapped horn, as soon as you start to make the first dally, first rotation, you'll start to slow. The brake comes on, and it slows that rope down, and you make the second rotation, and that will stop whatever's out there at the end.
You know how you told me, you had said that, well, whenever people are ready to rope, they're wanting to rope a steer, right? They're ready to jump out there. Okay, mounted archery. Whenever people come in for mounted archery, they tell me, I've been riding my horse without holding on to the reins. Okay, I've been working on running without my hands on the reins. And I'm like, okay, we'll get to that next year. Okay. but it's always like, okay, let's go through just moving with this, keeping both eyes open. Let's work on increasing the speed and grabbing your arrow at the right place. And then there's like oh my gosh, I don't even know how many steps it is if I broke it down, but there is so many steps that you have to do with your hand to get your arrow put onto the correct spot of your bowstring and onto your bow. And people are like, this is a lot harder than I thought. And I'm like, yeah, this is an actual bow. This is an actual arrow. That's a real tip on it. And we're going to project it. So there is so much groundwork. And then I brought in a world champion, and I brought in a person that was the president of the National Association. And boy, we spent so much time on the ground. And the world champion, after he left, I didn't shoot off of my mule for 3 months because I'm like, I got to back it up. So I kind of feel like roping, you probably get that same person just really ready, and you're like, okay, we got to bring it back.
And just like you said, when you're sitting in the saddle, the things that we do on the ground, they need to learn to keep enough rope in between their hands that as they launch a loop, it can start to go. One of the things that almost everybody makes a mistake when they're first starting is they don't let their coils loose. So they throw their rope out there, and all of a sudden the brakes run, doesn't go any farther. Why didn't it go any farther? You didn't let the coils loose. Little things that those of us that have done it forever take for granted. But somebody that's just starting out, there's, as you say with your mounted arm, a lot of little steps that go into being successful. And then when you translate that into getting on a horse, trying not to hit the horse with the loop, trying to hold the reins and the coils, it becomes a lot more complicated than what people think.
Oh, yeah, because you've got both hands are having to do something, and then you're having to move it.
Yep.
In addition to your hands, now you've got your shoulder, and then you've got an animal underneath you that can be afraid of a Walmart bag, or if it's one of my mules freaked out the other day when she moved her own ear, and it made her shadow move. It's just a lot of things going on. And then you're trying to catch another animal. that doesn't want to be part of the equation and isn't going to do anything to cooperate with you. It's a slow process. You get people, as in any endeavor, that are gifted and maybe move through faster than others. But this is a deal. The safer you're going to be is the slower you go, the better you learn and follow the steps. Well, I will tell you from roping, okay, like you're at 100% and I'm at like a 12, okay? Man, roping, whenever I think about it, everybody sees these cowboys and that rope is just humming, but then they can't hold on it tight with their hand or it'll pinch their hand. So what I always think, there's a lot of sexiness that comes with a roper, because here they are like, gotta be firm, but then they have to be delicate or they're going to hurt themselves. And then they've got all the coils in the other hand. Well, if they hold on too tight and be too firm, they choke it and doesn't go out. So they have to do something so firm, so fast, but yet be soft at the same time. Exactly. That is sexy. We'll try and teach that at the next clinic then. Oh. All right, guys, we're going to teach you how to be sexy, okay? We're going to teach you how to rope. And then you're extra sexy if you want to throw in some mounted archery, okay? As soon as you put a quiver on and it's got some arrows and you're holding a bow, people are like, who's that? Robin Hood. Oh, yeah. Okay, so I want to talk to you about this. It says that you judge equine, you judge cattle, you judge livestock. I had some 4-H kids come out here one time that had to practice judging my horses. Yep. And they told me that KTM, my gelding that I love, they said that he had a lot of feminine characteristics. Okay, so I would like to know what makes a horse have feminine characteristics. Horses are like people, like cattle. A bull should look like a bull, and heifers should look like heifers. Geldings, we want to say they look more masculine and don't have feminine traits. Normally a mare is a little finer through the neck and the jawline, maybe a little lighter made. You don't see many mares that are really heavy structured.
They should be a little.
You're talking about horses, right?
Yes, ma'am. They're not quite as heavy boned, maybe not quite as big footed. And that's a term we would call coarse. And we want our mares a little more refined. And it sounds simple when I'm saying it, but we want our girls to look like girls and our boys to look like boys. I'm blessed. My family, my dad judged in college, I judged in college, and this is livestock, and my son judged in college. It's kind of in our DNA. It's what we do. My dad and I both went to the University of Illinois. My son went to Southern Missouri State down at Springfield, and we were, I guess you would say, all had a lot of success because after we got out, we've all judged a lot of livestock, and I still judge a lot and still enjoy it. I enjoy meeting people. The one thing, when you judge any event or any species, all they are is getting one man's opinion that day. I'm not God. You're getting my opinion and what I like. You might find somebody down the road the next day that has a different opinion, a different mindset, looks for different traits that would use a different animal. We try and have industry standards that we maybe call ideals. This is what we're looking for, but we may find different ways to get there and have different animals that suit us that day. Soundness, how an animal moves, whether it's a pig, a cow, or a horse, they need to be able to move, and soundness is something that I put a lot of emphasis on. Again, maybe because I ride, I trim feed on show steers. They've got to walk, and if they can't walk in any species, they're not going to get you very far.
Okay. I've always wanted to know what those 4-H girls, they were like, he has a lot of feminine characteristics. And I'm like, well, he's been confused for a mare about 9 out of 10 times when they start talking about KTM.
Yep.
First, they think his name is Kim because that T looks like a capital I. And they're like, is this Kim? And I was like, no, it's KTM. It's a brand of motorcycle. Okay, I've named him after a dirt bike. Gosh, and it's a boy.
Yeah.
But, okay, so you had said that. I was like, well, what's your next thing? What are you wanting to do? Like, it sounds like you have, you're red, white, and blue through and through. I mean, you deal with cattle, and you're my third person to interview so far with cattle, and all three of you are in love with a different breed of cattle.
But that's one of the beauties of our world. Some people drive a Chevy, some people drive a Ford, some people drive a Cadillac. The different needs we have as producers, our different likes and dislikes, maybe are
you're in different areas.
The
also.
geography we deal with, the climate that we deal with. If you go to the southeast, you're going to have more Brahman influenced cattle because they're heat tolerant and more insect tolerant. As you move to the southwest, you maybe won't see as many black cattle. Again, it's drier there. You need cattle with bone and substance that will travel to graze and to drink, but you don't need the black hide and maybe necessarily absorbing sun.
Right.
And again, you flip that coin over, you get to Montana, you're not going to see many Brahman influence up there because the winters, they'll stand there and just shake terribly. It's almost mean to put them in that kind of climate.
We had an Angus bull one time, and we had some longhorn cows, okay? Those longhorns had him huffing and puffing because they traveled so much more and they traveled quickly.
Yep.
So, and then he was just trying to catch them, be like, it's time to make these babies. Y'all are in heat. I mean, he about freaking passed out on us, and we were like, man, we're going to have to put him in a smaller pasture for him because it was not working out for him. So you're wanting, your ambition right now, you might slow down with raising horses, and so you're talking about it's easier to buy one now, so then you already know exactly what you've got.
With the sales now, whether you're buying weanlings, yearlings, whatever age animal you want and whatever breed you want, but you can pick out a pedigree that you like that maybe works for your program. You can get the sex you want, whether it's a stallion, gelding, or a filly, and you can get the color you want. So it takes a lot of the guesswork out. It takes a lot of the decision making out.
Right.
There's what you want, and there's a lot of sales around the country. You and I were visiting earlier. Horse sales are crazy high right now. Mm-hmm. The market for good broke horses is over the top.
It is over the top. So, all right. So my husband surprised me and a couple of our trail guests. I'm always so bummed because whenever they come here for an event. Well, I would actually like to spend time with them, ride horses with them, maybe eat a meal with them. Well, he surprised me and they surprised me, and they came in last Sunday and they stayed all week. Well, I didn't know that. We get home at nighttime and they're unloading a horse, and he's like, I've got a surprise for you. And the first thing I was like, oh no, David picked a horse out for me. Good God. I have if I got to choose what I wanted, and then I was trying to be like, oh, you got me a horse. Oh God. But then it turns out it was their horses and they were his. But anyways, I was trying to be excited because, if I got to choose a horse, guess what I would choose? I'd like to hear what you would think I'd want. Oh?
Not a mule.
Not a mule, yeah.
A horse.
Yeah.
Maybe a gaited horse? Quarter horse?
Yeah, I'd probably choose a quarter horse. And then let's hear here. Do you think I would want a mare or a gelding?
Most everybody wants a gelding.
Okay, I love mares.
Yep.
I love the meanness. I love their attitude. I think they got more heart.
I've got one that fits that bill all the way around.
I kind of like them mean a little bit, but not dangerous.
Yep.
But mean. There's a difference between useful and then there's just evil.
Yep.
I kind of like them in the middle of that, but useful is really nice.
Evil. My ex-wife, yeah. Had to throw that in.
Oh my gosh. And now what color do you think I would go for if I got to choose a color?
Yellow.
Do you know? No. Do you know whenever I got my Palomino right now, it came out of a sorrel mare, and I bred her to like a tricolored paint.
I'll be darned.
Came out with a Palomino with 4 white stockings and a blaze, and I was like,
that's
no.
amazing.
But if I ever got to choose, it'd be a liver chestnut mare that's probably not 16 hands, but she could be 16 hands, a little bit bigger, and just a little bit of attitude, and quarter horse. I want to have the biggest butt in the world on a big old quarter horse, and I want her to go. I don't want no lazy 16 hand. I want a beefcake that can pull Optimus Prime out of a ditch. That's what I want. So
I think that's what you should shoot for then.
Nobody would ever put that combination. I love that color, liver chestnut. I don't know, as soon as I see one, I'm like, is that a liver chestnut? Like some girls are like, oh, is that a nice 4-door truck? And I'm like, ooh, you got a liver chestnut. What would be your perfect, if you got to choose everything that you wanted, what would it be?
This is going to really upset you. I've got a gorgeous liver chestnut gelding I'm riding right now. I like quality. Color doesn't mean as much. I've never had a dirty Palomino, and I'd love to have a dirty Palomino. Mm-hmm. I've had several grays. I consigned them to sales. One of them, a good friend of mine, was riding for me. I'd had my open heart surgery, and he was riding a colt for a little bit that was going to a sale. And he says, Scott, I'm not too sure you shouldn't keep this one. I took him up to Nebraska and sold him. And I've had thoughts since he left, but I like grays. I like Palominos. I ride some sorrels. I've got a beautiful buckskin mare at home that belongs to my wife. I've got the liver chestnut gelding that's 4 socks, a star stripe and snip, a real eye catcher. I never get tired of looking at him. So as long as they're good, I'm not quite as fussy. But if I could call the doctor and order one, I might get a gray with a 2-tone tail, white and gray.
Okay.
Oh, I love those.
Oh,
I've never had one, but they are cool looking.
My next adventure with my horses is I have Glamour. She's just a little refrigerator of a horse, right? She's basically like a small deep freeze.
Yes.
She's muscled up, quarter horse, but I'm probably going to breed her and get a sport horse. I'm thinking about, I'm bigger,
yes,
and we got big jobs to do here, and I'm thinking about a sport horse is just like half draft, half quarter horse, and there's some beefcakes. They can pull some stuff.
And that cross is wildly popular now.
Yep.
That market is so strong. I know at the sales they have, the Boone County sales that they have at Sedalia, mm-hmm, that's one of the more popular crosses that's selling. That cross, even out west, you see them. A lot of people are using them as rodeo pickup horses. They're using them. They'll pack on them some, but some of the cowboys that are going a long way and having to rope bulls a lot, that's what they want, something that big and stout.
Yeah, want something big and stout, but they don't want it to be a full draft horse. They still want the quarter horse, but that's what I'm going for. I'm really excited. I don't care about color or anything on that. Glamour is everything that I want. I just wish she was a little bit bigger.
Yes.
But she don't have no problem with anything. I mean, I can ride her for as many days as I want to, and she's real stoic. Also, that's one of my loves of a mare is how they're just.
Several of my friends that have quarter horse mares that aren't doing much with them now, riding them. Several of those are getting bred to draft horses this year.
Mm-hmm. So you're wanting to something that you're really wanting to just keep. You've talked about coaching. You've talked about, you've got 4 state champions of children that have coached or that you've coached that are judging livestock.
It's maybe something that's near and dear to me, and I like working with kids that are interested, that have the enthusiasm, and maybe because I'm dealing mostly with farm kids that have grown up with livestock, I'm blessed to have great kids and maybe even better, and I tell the kids this all the time, great families. I've got mom and dads that'll haul those kids halfway around the state. If we go to a contest, they never fuss about them coming to practice, and if we run late at practice, it's okay. I had a mother come up to me at our county fair just this last week, and I have 2 of her children, a boy that's going to be a senior in high school and a girl that's going to be a freshman in high school, both outstanding young people, both good judges, but more important than the good judges, they're great kids. And I told her that, you and your husband have done a great job giving me 2 outstanding children to work with. She says, you don't know what it means to us that they still want to come to practice and how much they enjoy coming. Those are what makes my job easy as a coach and a teacher. When you have children that want to learn, they will. And these kids strive to be good. I feel like my junior team, this is really sticking my neck out to get chopped off. I told them a while back, I'm sure they're going to be state champions as they become seniors. I think they'll be the state champion juniors this year, and that's throwing a lot out there. There's a lot of people that do this all around the state, but I do have a little bit of a history of success, and these are the best kids I've ever had.
Well, yeah, you got 1952. That's some experience right there, okay?
Lots.
Oh, my gosh. Well, anyways. Okay. All right. Well, hey, guys, we are about to get out of here. If you wanted to, if they wanted to get in touch with you, how do they find you?
You can call me at 660-679-1833. My email is Scott, SCOTT.Sherry, CHERI.Sims, SIMMS @gmail.com. We're pretty easy to get hold of.
Right. And if you were having trouble, I don't know, like it sounded good whenever he said it, but if you were having trouble, you can always get in touch with me, and then I can help you get in touch with Scott.
Perfect.
All right. Well, hey, thank you for tuning in to Big Boss Mare with Brandy Von Holton and with our guest, Scott Sims.